Hi, welcome to my channel. Today, I invite you to explore with me the world of the wonky and whimsical houses. I'm going to walk you through the 10 steps I took in discovering what my wonky house style is. I kind of learned as I go, and I'm going to share that with you. As always, I'm going to give options as I go through this, but I invite you to cherry pick what works best for you and for what you have. At the end, I'm going to summarize what I learned and what works best for me. So stay tuned right to the end. Step one, sketch. Let's get those creative juices going. Grab a pencil, a piece of paper, and just start sketching. You can be watching TV and let's get the ideas going. Don't edit anything now. The idea is just to open your mind and get creative. Whenever I do kind of a stash builder like this, typically I start very rigid, and as I go, I open my mind, I get more and more creative. Don't be worried if you need to do several sessions of this. You're just sketching out the possibilities. You can see on the top left-hand corner, that's my actual sketch pad. I've got several pages. I'm just kind of redoing this for the sake of the video. So get those creative juices going. Don't edit yourself at this stage. This is a really important step. So step two, cut it out now. Now we're going to turn those little sketches into templates. And I'm using copy paper that was in the recycle bin. It's printed on one side. Now I'm folding it so I kind of get symmetrical, but that's really not necessary. And I'm just cutting those shapes. So I'm looking at my sketches and I'm trying to duplicate that on the copy paper. Now I'm going to be fully honest here. My sizes are a little bit off. A lot of my wonky houses are too big to put more than one on an art journal page. So if I was doing this again, size matters, but more about that later. So I'm just folding the paper, cutting it, getting different shapes. Again, this is not the stage to edit yourself. Do whatever. It is scrap paper. You're not wasting anything. You're just exploring the possibilities and trying to come up with something that you like. If you don't like it, it goes into the recycle bin. If you do like it, it's going into the pile to use down the road in future steps. So you can do the basis of the house or the roof of the house. And you can do all of the house bases if you want and then do the rooftops. It doesn't really matter. Again, you do what works best for you. Some people work better linear, where they just do all the bases and then they do all the rooftops. I kind of went back and forth, and there's an awful lot of stash builder time that doesn't show up in this video, and a lot of it is sped up because I'm just exploring. I'm trying to find my wonky house style. I want to know what works best. So I'm cutting here, I'm cutting rooftops, and then I'm seeing, does it go with a base? Does it not? I'm exploring, seeing the possibilities, and the more I do, the more creative I get different ideas. I'm really liking some of these shapes, and then I try to duplicate that. Now, if I like a base, I can elongate it. I can make it taller. I can make it fatter. I can make it broader. You can change that up. Once you define the basic shapes that you want. Here, I'm just kind of trimming it down, saying, oh, this works better. Kind of mixing and matching. If you like the one with the chimney, I'm going to show you how to do that later on. It's a little bit of a different cut, but thought I would add it later. So here I'm just playing with the rooftops and the bases. Again, I am simply exploring the possibilities. This step two, like step one, is about lighting that inspiration, getting the ideas, not about a finished product. Sometimes we think we want to jump into doing the art journal page without doing the exploratory page. So many of these first steps are about exploring. So again, here you can have the same shape. You can elongate it, shorten it, broaden it, narrow it. You could tweak it along the way. So if you like a shape and you want more of it, or you want to alter it, now's the time again to play. So here are some of the rooftops. I love the heart shape for a rooftop. The spirals, you know, a lot we have very similar. So I'm just kind of laying these out. These are my possibilities. So step 3 is kind of optional. I am making tracers out of, this is mixed media paper. It's paper that I've taken off the coil, and I always have a few extra sheets, and this is what I use them for. But you could use like old file folders. You want something a little thicker. So I am doing two things. I am making a tracer out of the thicker paper so that I have it and they're going to last. Because I'm thinking, if I do art journal pages, I may want to have a tracer. So some things that I might end up doing lots of, I'm going to take the time to do a tracer. Now I've put this on the mixed media paper. I'm using X-Acto knife here and I'm cutting it out. So I'm basically also going to make a stencil of the bases and the roof of these houses. And I'll show you how I use the tracers and the window templates differently, or the stencil differently down the road. And you can decide which, if either, you want to do. Step 3 is kind of optional. When you're using an X-Acto knife here, what is really important is buy new blades. Don't be sitting there and trying to cut and get a good cut if the blade is weak. So buy a package of blades that go with your X-Acto knife. Invest a little money. It'll more than pay off for itself. Now, I had an idea as I was watching this and getting ready to do the voiceover with the tracers, with the base. I'm going to go back and number the tracers, 1, 2, however many bases I have. And then the roofs, I'm going to label with letters. Because then if I get a combo like the base number 1 with the roof number 5, again, that's something I can duplicate. And I'm going to write that right on to the tracers. So here's how we make the roof with the chimney. I'm on a fold and I'm cutting the roof size and then just make a jut out for the chimney. Now, because I folded it, both sides are going to be symmetrical and you're going to see that. So basically I'm going to have 2 chimneys, which, I guess it's a wonky, whimsical house, but I'm just going to cut off one of the chimneys. And there we have that rooftop. So you can say change it a little bit. Step 4, you're going to mix and match. So here is where you are going to find the combinations. The base number 1 with the rooftop number 10. I'm just playing. I'm seeing the options. So I might write this down on the side. One goes with B, one goes with D, one goes, and you're going to come up with the different combinations so you don't have to rethink down the road. Again, that's me overanalyzing it, but that's something that I would totally do that works for me and the way my brain works and the way I create. If that is too complicated for you or it doesn't work, then that's the part you just edit out. You don't need to follow it. I'm just auditioning it on different ones. And when I find one that I like, I said, I like the look of that. Now here, I could also take these and alter the templates. I can alter the tracers at this point if something's not working. At any point, you can toss something in the garbage or tweak it, cut a little bit off, what have you. Now, a lot of these bases, you'll notice I don't have just the rectangular ones because I didn't think I needed a tracer for that. So here is the stencil, the window templates. And because when you have a window template, you can put it on the gel print or the collage paper and see exactly what it will look like. So that's the advantage of doing that. So once you find something you like, I'm just going to use the tracer and put it there. Now, you can take a pencil and trace this out if that's the way you roll. As you're going to see, I'm too lazy to do that. So I'm just putting the template there. It helps that it's a thicker paper, and I'm just cutting it out. These are wonky, whimsical houses. They do not have to be perfect. You have a lot of room for error. So here I'm just cutting the bases. I'm grabbing some gel prints. I grabbed my teal ones, and I'm not making these for a specific page. So I'm not worried about multiple houses working together, looking good together. I'm just looking at exploring my options, getting some ideas to make it easier when I do want to do that. I've worked out some of the bugs here. There was a lot of learning going on. So I am going to do the rooftops differently, but you can do the same thing and cut them out of your gel prints. And I'll explain that more later. So here I just wanted to grab different colors and different combinations. Again, keeping true to that exploration theme. I want to find something that I want to duplicate later and do better. So I'm picking different colors and going through my file folders of gel prints. You can use any collage papers. You could even cut this out of magazine. If it's all, if it's all greenery, you can make that. Anything goes. Now, all of my papers here and the rooftops later are all just on copy paper. You may want to do gel printing on mixed media paper to have it thicker. Again, a personal choice that you can make. I like the thinner ones because when I glue them on the page, it doesn't add the excess bulk. So here I am simply cutting the bases, getting different colors, and occasionally tweaking the base. Now you'll see that I have it all spread out in front of me. And when I had them in a pile I found that was harder. Having it all spread out in front of me really helped me arrange things and see the possibilities and explore. It really promoted the creativity in me. So I recommend that you try that. If it works, great. If it doesn't, again, don't do it. So now that I have the rooftops matched and the gel print for the base done, I want to move to the next stage. And step 6 is to paint the rooftops. Now you could use gel prints and go through and try to find something that matches. Again, I'm kind of lazy. I wanted to streamline this, so I decided I'm just going to make contrasting rooftops by just painting my own collage papers here instead of trying to find one. So I have those yellow ones there. I'm thinking a blue-green would look nice. I'm just putting the blue-green onto a piece of copy paper. Again, it's printed on one side, so I'm using something else. Then I'm adding some stenciling. I will also add some stamping at some stage. You're adding texture. I went through my stencils and I got stencils that kind of would look good on a rooftop to give that texturized look. And then I'm just putting the tracer on top and cutting out the rooftops. So again, this process, just paint. I'm picking a contrasting color or a color that goes with the house. So I kind of flip through several of the houses and think, okay, these three houses would have maybe the same base. But again, I found by spreading that out in front of me, I could see what I had to work with, and it just streamlined the process. So go through your stencils and see which textures would look good on the roof. And I'm adding some stenciling, and I'm adding some brown, I'm adding some blue, but I'm trying to match it to a specific color base now. Once you make one decision, that kind of points you in a direction of other decisions. Again, there is no right or wrong, it's what you like. Any color combination works, and that goes to personal preference. So that one could go on this rooftop or this one. So again, I wasn't cutting, I'm still open to exploring the possibilities. Here I can match a yellow roof with a yellow base. It's got different textures and they will work together. So at no point in time am I 100% obligated to keeping it the same. As you can see, I've really sped up the video. If only I could paint this quickly. Here's a kind of cobblestone look. This made a great rooftop. I've got some bricks, some squares. I even used some more vintage ones and swirly ones, and that looked great. So I don't think you need to necessarily limit yourself too much to the patterning. At a later stage, you're not seeing that here. Here I'm stamping, but I do stamp some script stamp, and I did some stenciling through drywall tape on a lot of the roofs just to add a little bit more texture and interest. So even if you've picked the gel print, you can add to it later. Once you're doing the page, you may want that option. This is looking very silver. It's actually Payne's gray. And then I'm just stenciling some black on there for a more traditional dark roof like you would see. But again, these are whimsical, wonky houses, so you're not limited to traditional. Again, if I did something and I didn't like it, it got tossed. And then I just kept what was working for me. Again, part of this video and what you're seeing me doing here is exploring my options. I'm trying to find what do I like, what don't I like. I'm also trying to get a little creative and get away from, like here, I'm putting pink on this teal aqua roof with the cobblestone. And I love it. So think outside the box. Try not to stick to the same old, same old. So here, the base there has a little bit of teal, and then I'm putting the teal roof. Step 7, stick it. I'm just using a glue stick and I'm gluing the base to the roof. And again, here I have options. I can put it up higher or lower so I can change the size of the house if I want to. And if there's too much excess, feel free to cut it off. I know if I'm putting this on a page or some project, it's going to get glued down. So I'm not worried about the glue stick staying stuck forever. I just wanted to, again, streamline this process and make it super quick. The rooftops also don't have to be put on perfectly level. I tried, some of them I put askew. So step 8, we're shading or edging the roof and the base. Now you could do this at a finishing stage down the road. I wanted to give this some definition, so I am shading. I am using my acrylic paints, black, and I'm shading around all the bases. Also, when I do a stash builder, I tend to do things assembly line. So you do all the shading and all the gluing. So with this shading, I am using acrylic paint and it is permanent. Everything on here is permanent. So no matter what I do at a later stage, it is not going to reactivate. And that's kind of a thing that I typically do as well. So now we are at step 9, and we are cutting out the doors and windows. And what I've grabbed here is a piece of the mixed media paper, again, that I had left over. And I am just cutting doors, windows, um, signs, whatever embellishments I want on the different houses. I'm cutting different size doors, and even though, like right here, I'm cutting the door and cutting the window and gluing it down, what I end up doing is, again, I have the entire array in front of me, and I'm cutting different size doors and I'm additioning them on different ones and seeing what looks best to me. And that's what I recommend instead of doing one at a time. If you're doing one at a time, you're more likely to be rigid. If you have a lot there, you're able to go with the flow and check the answers. Here for the door, I'm using my corner rounder to round off the edges of the door. So if you have a corner rounder, great place to use it. You can use a punch if you have a round punch if your houses are bigger. Again, these are wonky houses. There are no rules. So you can put as many windows or any shape of window that you want. You are only limited by what you allow yourself to be limited. Here's the end of the piece off the coil. And I thought, hey, that looks like a row of windows. Maybe I could use that. So here I'm just auditioning it and seeing what looks good. And as soon as I get something, I go, yep, that's it. Make a decision, glue it down. While at the end, I do have houses that I may like better. I like all of them. So, all the possibilities. This, I'm actually going to end up putting house numbers on. And there is a triangular window. I'm gluing this down with fluid matte medium. Gel medium would have worked as well. Try not to overanalyze. There's the array. And once I spread them out like this, it was easier. And then I could take the doors and windows and say, oh, what does this one look like? What does this one look like? I started making my doors a little bit more wonky. They weren't perfect little rectangles. Um, you're open to be open to the options. And there we have a lot of my houses. Now it's white, and I am going to paint them. Now, we'll more about that later. So again, I'm just now gluing everything down. I kind of did it dry fit, dry put them, and now I am gluing everything down. And that just made it so much easier and streamlined the process. So when it comes to the doors, I could use my pit markers. You could use Posca paint markers. And I really wanted to use them because I don't use them a lot. But for my time and energy, painting the doors and the windows with acrylic paint was so much faster, streamlined the process so much that that is the way I roll. But if you've got paint markers and you like coloring and you like the look, go for it. I like this. I do recommend, I'm using a angle brush. I found that it was perfect. Now, somebody might say, well, Karen, couldn't you just paint the doors and the windows right onto the gel print? And yes, you could, but because of some of the backgrounds or some of the gel prints might be dark, you might have to put a coat of gesso. This, again, was a faster way of doing it in my mind. So again, I'm thinking, okay, I've got a yellow roof. I'm going to match it up with the yellow door. There is no wrong combination. I feel like I'm saying the same thing again and again, but it's true. Open your brain up, open your mind up to all the possibilities. Try things out. What is the worst that can happen? Actually, you're going to see some of these I'm going to change because I've decided, oh, what if I want something else? Here I'm taking a piece of drywall tape and stenciling through it to give that door some texture. Worked wonderfully well. So I've got a blue roof, green, I'm putting a blue door. Now, if I was had three houses on one page, I may want to work on those three together because you want parts of each to coordinate. So the color of the roof might match the base of the one house, might match the door of the other one, so that when they're on the page together, they all look good. But this is a stash builder, so I'm not really paying attention to coordinating multiple ones. Here's where it's changed. I decided I didn't like this color, so it's actually still wet. I'm adding some quinacridone magenta to the blue. It's kind of turning purpley, and I like that look better. Personal choice. There is no right or wrong. So here I'm just using the pit marker and coloring it in, but I'm not, like I said, it seems flat compared to the painting. So, and it takes longer in my mind. Step 10, we're going to do line work. Now you can use, there are different liner pens. Uniball Signo is a good white one, although it's not permanent. So if you're gluing them down, you're going to have to worry about it. This is a Sakura glaze pen that's all white. I believe it's size 10, but I'm not sure. Gives a nice thick one. Decide, what if I use my fine line applicator bottle? And OMG, that was the ticket. I love the look. I love doing the faux stitching around it or the solid sketchy line. It is more opaque. So that's what I ended up doing. It's also faster. So I'm just using the fine line applicator bottle. I've got white paint there. You're going to see me use black right away. I also have gold. I didn't use any gold on this, but that would be a nice addition as well. So I'm making the crossbars on the windows with the black or the white. I really ended up liking the white better. Again, that's me. So I'm going around the windows, I'm adding details, I'm adding some dots, I'm adding hearts for doorknobs. Here again, I'm changing the color. Didn't like it, wasn't working, for whatever reason. You can change it at any time. So you're not locked in. You don't even have to throw it out. I think this one might be one of my favorite wonky houses. So this is going to bring an end to the 10 steps. And I'm going to summarize what I like and what I'm going to do. So I love using the gel prints for the base. However, I don't think I would worry about making the window template or stencils. I would either just use the tracers or just go free cutting. I found that that worked best. Painted papers for the roof worked wonderfully well. I could coordinate it. It streamlined the process and made it. I love the addition of the stenciling and stamping on that. Size matters. Pay attention to the size of your wonky houses so they're actually going to be usable for what you're going to create with them. Definitely laying them out all in front of you and additioning and moving them around was great for creativity. I got better possibilities by doing that. I definitely would cut out the doors and windows out of mixed media paper and paint them afterwards. Using the fine line applicator was the bomb. I absolutely loved that, as I love doing the shading. One more thing, if you're doing a spread with them, you want to coordinate them, as I said before. So do some thinking around that. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you follow these steps and discover your wonky house or whimsical house mojo. You find your style. Here's a close-up of all of mine. Feel free to take the shapes, pick what you like. Just go and have some fun and get creative. Until next time, go get creative.